Okay, I want to. All right. Share. Okay. Why isn't it working? Oh, stop it. Okay, can everybody hear me okay?
Yep, I can hear you. Hello.
Okay, when you see my screen share, can you see the chat that the chat box is up?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Now
Yep.
can you not? Okay, great. We're going to get started here in just a little bit. The beginning part, I'm just going to do like a quick presentation and I'm going to stop recording so we can have a discussion, if that makes sense.
Got it.
Well, what the hell, DNR? Oh, now you care about climate change, whatever. I spent the day researching my own resolution and I'm just angry now. I not be. And that's what I was looking up, stuff about climate change. All right, just give people a couple more minutes. Can you guys see Diane's picture on the screen share?
Yep.
Oh shit, okay. There we go, maybe that will work.
Okay, yeah. I can see Diane. Diane Kane, got it.
Okay, can you see me?
Yes.
Like my face?
I can see your
Yes.
face.
Oh shit, I was just smoking. I didn't think you guys could
Yes,
see.
you were just smoking.
Well, we'll cut that
Busted.
part out of the video. I'm sorry. But you can see my
Busted.
screen too?
Yes.
Okay, good. All right. Well, I'm not always professional. Sometimes I get stressed out, especially today. All right, well, we will get started and I will try to join people in as much as I can. I have this up because tonight we're just gonna, the next thing that we need to do and get done for Conservation Congress is is Conservation Congress coming up. Now, it is not until April 11th when we do the online voting, but citizen resolutions like we did last year are due by March 11th. I wanted to make sure to give everybody time, so we'll spend the majority of our time on that. Obviously, we'll revisit the questions. I'll show you tonight, but we'll revisit some of the questions that are going to be on here. But because the local delegates, if you want to, oh, here's somebody new. If you want to be a delegate for Conservation Congress, like Diane is, like I was, I just want to show you how you would apply to do that in your county. And then I also wanted to just show you guys, we do have a number of resolutions going for if you wanted to have like submit something that's already done so that it's submitted in many different counties. But I thought it was more important that if you have an issue that is important to you, and this is, I would say that you should be a Wisconsin resident to do this. But I do want to just kind of go through those resolutions. Again, we have resolutions that Sierra Club, Humane Society, like we did last year, that we're working on. I know Lois Lehman, who's often joins these calls, is really a strong advocate for this. Diane Kane, who's on here, has resolutions. So I will be sharing that. We had a meeting today about communication. So basically in the weeks in between, we have these fireside chats. You're going to be getting all this information, plus these will be recorded for information for you. But we will send you, we have a number of resolutions that people have drafted that we are trying to submit. So first, let me tell you that if you write a resolution, it will go to, and it gets accepted by your county. Your county will vote on your resolution. It gets passed in a majority of counties though, and you can do that for 3 years in a row. It's really kind of a pain in the neck. But if you can do that, then you can kind of skip what those committees will do in the Conservation Congress, and it will go to the statewide essential advisory elections. What I've done, like I passed a wildlife stamp resolution. I had to submit it 3 years in a row. I had to get a bunch of other people to submit it in different counties. And that's where our job comes in, where we can help organize other advocates that maybe you don't know in other counties. We basically know people in just about every single county in the state, and your resolution will be stronger. So if you really feel strongly about a resolution, one of the ones that I saw that, I think for our organization and to help the most amount of wildlife that we can. Yes, we care about hounding, and we care about trapping. Of course, I care about all of these issues. But one I really thought that was significant that I think our organization is going to push, we're only going to push one this year so that we can really do a good job, is to direct the Natural Resource Board and the agency to continue into the time the opportunity to participate via Zoom. Because I think it is really important. Who knows when what's going to happen with, this pandemic, endemic, Who knows if we're in World War III today? I'm not sure, but I think that it is 2022. Things can be done clearly. The agency has the capacity to do things online. And there's my alarm to shut up. But that they have the capacity to do this. And I believe that being able to participate in agency meetings in the Natural Resource Board via Zoom, so that you don't necessarily have to drive. A lot of these meetings takes place in Rhinelander, and a lot of people would have to take younger people, especially, I'm not trying to be ageist, but a lot of younger people are not able to participate because they're working during the day. So it is a lot more retirees that tend to have a little bit different viewpoints than the rest of us. And people are busy if your kids are at home because school got closed. I just think it's the smart thing to do and makes participation for all citizens easier. Why would they not want to make participation that they so deeply care about more difficult? So that's what, as an organization, we kind of decided that we would be pushing, is to make sure to keep all hearings, all meetings, and all Natural Resource Board meetings open to participate via Zoom or to participate remotely. So that's just what I'm going to tell you that we're going to do. Obviously, Sierra Club, everybody has different targets. For us, we thought that's the best way we can help the most amount of wildlife, right? So if we're talking about sturgeon, or we're talking about wolves, or we're talking about trapping, or we're talking about a meeting about chronic wasting disease, or we're at the Natural Resource Board, that no matter what that subject is, it gives you an opportunity to participate without having to take an entire day off of work, or sometimes 2 days, depending how far away things are. And the Natural Resource Board in their schedule has decided to take their Natural Resource Board on the road. And so they usually are done, the meetings are in Madison. They're going to be taking them to Rhinelander and to Milwaukee. And I think they're thinking they would do that to make it so that people in northern Wisconsin could participate, which is great. But, the headquarters are in Madison, and we think, what a better way for everyone to participate if you can do it from home, not wearing pants like we talked about last year. So anyway, that's my spiel on our resolution. But I do want to show you these things, and then I promise I'll shut up and then we can discuss. But as you can see on my screen here, if you you just Google Wisconsin Conservation Congress, it'll bring up the annual spring hearing and the county meeting. Remember that it is normally also an election for delegates. They are not doing that this year or last year because of COVID-19. So I do want to show you, again, the hearing starts April 11th, if you can see on the screen, and then is open until April 14th. So we'll have 72 hours to go in and vote, but your resolutions are going to be due March 11th. So essentially a month before that, because I think they actually are, some counties are trying to help people if they have problems with their resolution. Here's something that is cool this year, is that you can't really mess this up like before, where you had to make sure you had the right writing and you had to make sure you had your county. It's done electronically this year, which I think is really cool. Actually, kind of commend them for that they have an online tool, which is going to make my job easier tonight. So I do want to just show you the local delegate page really quickly. I don't know if there's people that are interested in becoming delegates for the Conservation Congress. Diane can tell you, I can tell you, it's a lot of work, especially if you're assigned committees. There is a convention that you have to attend. I don't even know if they did that in person last year. But again, we have 72 counties. One thing that is not necessarily democratic about Conservation Congress is it's much like we don't have two, we've got our House of Representatives and we've got the Senate. And the House of Representatives is supposed to make up for population difference. We don't have anything like that when it comes to Conservation Congress. It's 5 people from every county. So that means if you live in Sawyer County, where there's 24,000 people, they get 5 representatives, and so does Dane County, which has 2 million people. So that is a little weighted unfair, and it definitely has a rural Wisconsin preference. So again, this is just factual. This is just taking the statistics in general, especially since most of you are here for wolves, that some of the northern counties are not as friendly towards wolves as, let's say, Dane County would be towards wolves or towards wildlife. So it is really important, I think, for these resolutions to get done then out of our counties. There you have a limit of 2 resolutions per person. So anyway, my internet connection's unstable again, darn it. If someone could just yell if the internet goes out. So here we go. There's Conservation Congress. You want to have 5. Now there's an application to be a Conservation Congress delegate. So I'm just going to click on there to apply. And here are the rules. We can check to see if you just check to see if there's a vacancy in your county. If there's not, they still hold on to your application. Oops, Makai here. I think I let her in. Oops, did I? Sorry. Makai, did I let you in? I hope I did. Okay. And again, when we go into the discussion portion of this, where I stop recording, you can ask Diane or me. I think there's a couple other people that have been Conservation Congress about what it's like. Here you go at the bottom. Here's your time committal. There's 2 to 3 year terms, but if you're filling that vacancy, it's only filling the remainder of a term of vacant seats. So I think there's several 1-year appointments there. You attend a convention, and then you have to participate in 1 or more advisory committees. Usually the coveted advisory committees, such as the Wolf Committee or the Bear Committee, you're not going to get into until you've been a Conservation Congress delegate for a while. But I'm just going to go to the next page. I know that this is a quick overview, but this is the rules here. You're Wisconsin resident. You have to be 18. Who cares about number 4? You can't work for the Department of Natural Resources. So you should apply if you are interested. I'm sure that Diane Kane or I can direct you to someone else. Actually, Jane Meyer, George Meyer's wife, is very helpful and very, very nice for people that want to do that, and serves on the executive committee and is very much encouraging. Whether she may not agree with us, she definitely encourages public participation and means it. So I talked to her earlier today, and she's happy to help anybody as well. So then you just put in your information. I'm not going to go through all this on the next page because I don't want to apply. That's why I don't want to go through it. But you just go through, you fill out your information. That's really all they need to know. And you can write a little paragraph about yourself, essentially why you think you should be on Conservation Congress. 1 year when I was on it, I just said a limerick about Scott Walker and I got elected in. So don't put too much thought into what you need to say, but certainly, you should talk about any credentials that you have when it comes to wildlife, but that's not a necessary. You don't need to be a wildlife biologist. You can just be a smart ass like I am and still get on Conservation Congress. We'll go to questions. Darn it. We'll go back here. Sorry, we're going to go back to, whoops, that's the delegates. It is kind of fun, but I will tell you there are more women and more like-minded people on the Conservation Congress than ever has been. When I was on, I felt like I was there all by myself. You actually will meet some friends that maybe think differently than you. I will tell you that, but I met some pretty cool people. Okay, that's for being a delegate. If you're interested in that, I'm happy to talk to you through it on the phone. We can do this together. All right, so the next thing we need to do is about submitting a citizen resolution. And I know a lot of you did this last year. If you're new to this, that's fine. You should be a Wisconsin resident to do this. Here are the rules on this. So each year, again, in by March 11th, the concern must be of statewide impact. The concern must be practical, achievable, and reasonable. It has to be typed. You don't have to worry about that anymore. The resolution has to have a clear title. The current state statutes and laws must be considered with reasonable cause for a change being presented. It needs to suggest a solution to your concern, and no more than 2,000 characters or less. It doesn't need to be that long. 250 words or less. That's it. And then again, you can only submit 2 resolutions. So we'll go to the next page. This is the kind of nice part. You can still submit a handwritten resolution if you want to. I wouldn't. I just use this form. So I'm just going to go through really quickly and show you how that would be. So I live in Dane County. Here's my information. Don't look at my address. I guess come over if you want. So I put my information in, my personal information. So I'm just going to do a resolution that we that basically not the one I talked about now. This is my own personal one, just to walk you through, because some of them are tricky, especially if you don't like something. It's best to have scientific evidence to back up your position. So mine is going to be not very popular with the fishermen, but my title is going to be Suspend Sturgeon Spearing. This is just something I care about personally, and I think that's really important too. So make sure that, if you don't feel like doing it, you want to just submit one that somebody else has already written, that's fine. But I always like to do one that's personal to me. So this is just an issue I care about myself. Suspend sturgeon spearing on, probably I've got that pressure where people are watching me type. Until climate change of effects can be studied, comma, do not direct the Department of, well, I'll just put DNR because I know what it is. DNR to, so this is, mine's long, the title, yours doesn't have to be. Direct the DNR to not create a DPS. I'll explain what this is when I go further. DPS population segment. So that's my title. And that's just because I already did this ahead of time. So when you're thinking about your title, it should be short and sweet. I'm just angry, so mine's extra long today. So then when you hit next after the title, they will ask you, and this is where it goes in, what's the issue? So I'm not going to sit here and make you guys all think about this, but I'm going to leave this up because I'm going to do this when you're done. But for me, the issue, so I'm just going to tell you about what it is and write it up, but you can look at their example. Again, practical, achievable, and reasonable. Have you researched if there's state's legislation? Yeah, I have. I'm just asking them not to change the law about sturgeon fishing. I'm just asking to suspend that. So this is where I'm going to write in. I know this is boring, you guys, because it's about fish, but I wanted to use something that was different than what we normally talk about. So for me, U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service in 2019 planned to list the lake sturgeon on the Endangered Species Act, and they missed the deadline because let's think about who ran the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service and the Department of the Interior in 2019. I'm sure that missing that deadline was not unintentional. So I'm writing about why I think, yes, the Lake Winnebago population segment, so DPS, distinct population segment, from in my title, are doing well. However, it's the only place in the United States they're doing well. So 19 out of the 20 states that lake sturgeon live in, they're on their state endangered species list. I'm asking them to suspend that to make sure that the sturgeon management plan includes future risk assessment about climate change and about pollution in Lake Winnebago and about how sturgeon are doing in other states, because that doesn't exist in our state management plan. So I'm not going to write that all in here. Actually, I will. How could I do this? Well, that's what it does. And then it just asks you to sign it on the next page. But I'm going to write all that in later. I'll just say, I wonder if I can just resubmit. I better not. They'll probably mess with it. But essentially, this is where you're going to write in your issue. So I think that they should suspend sturgeon spearing and not create a distinct population segment until they're able to assess the health of Lake Winnebago and the health of sturgeon overall in the United States, and let U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service to make that determination and not include Wisconsin, because that's what they're doing now, is that they're deciding on whether sturgeon should be endangered, but they want to leave Wisconsin out. And so I think you guys can relate to this kind of an issue as in wolves, right? Like Great Lakes population, Northern Rockies, they want to have those as distinct population segments, and they are, right? Which is why when wolves are relisted nationwide, the Northern Rockies are still not protected. I don't want something like that to happen for lake sturgeon. So I'm just kind of anticipating the fact that this year, Fish and Wildlife Service should get around to looking at the lake sturgeon. So I don't want the DNR to say, don't include Wisconsin, and that lake sturgeon overall, their overall success should be considered, not just because they're doing well in one little place or three little places in Wisconsin, the Wolf River and Lake I'm going to stop there if that makes sense to everybody. I'm going to just go back. Yeah, but I probably submitted my own name like 30 times. But, okay. And then back at spring hearing, again, we're meeting tonight to talk about these resolutions specifically, but I can show you that you can review the questions that are going to be coming up for April, which I'm doing now. Fisheries questions. So mine would go to the fisheries section if it does make it onto the statewide, why can't I think? The statewide questionnaire. I'll need to do it 3 years in a row, and I'll need to show up to the fisheries advisory. So I've got a project ahead of me personally, but here's where you can look. Here's the Dnr Advisory Questions. You can look at those ahead of time. I'm going kind of fast because that's the fisheries section. Then you can see wildlife management. And I think that's where most of you are going to be really caring about these. So here you can look at these. Goose permits, there's all sorts of things, waterfowl hunt, increasing costs, increasing turkey harvest, preference points, all of this stuff. Have a single raccoon hunting starting date. I bet you guys can assume where I feel on that. But a lot of these too are fairly problematic, but there's really not too many on the wildlife advisory this year. Again, we can give you a guide and the rationale for why you think you should vote the way you should if you are speaking for wildlife, but not necessarily. So, if anyone does have questions on these, I can give you some background on them. The other one are the spring hearing questions. So these are where you're going to see really big. There's a lot of deer questions because people are really mad. I think that there's a lot of questions on here, again, that if you are wondering how they should be establishing a statewide dumpster program, it doesn't sound nice, but I'm telling you, that's important to stop the spread of CWD. So they want to take the antlerless fund fees and put them into CWD. Good, about time. And then increasing those fees. Here's another one that's about opposing game farms and shooting preserves. So that's kind of, we care about that. Question 11 and 12, impose stricter regulations. I don't know if anyone attended the Natural Resource Board yesterday, but it was all about PFAs and PFOAs in water. It was actually pretty amusing. If you get a chance, you can see Pren go off the handle on that. But you can kind of go down, but a lot of your environmental questions would be here. There's a lot of questions about fish again, about ATVs, fur harvest. And I'm not going to go through a lot of these, but there's a lot about expanding trapping. Here's some about the wolf season. So disabled trappers, turkeys. So these come out of those committees. So these are from those committees I was talking about earlier, that your resolution, once you submit it, would go to the committee. These are the ones that the committee passed, these committees. So you can see here at the wolf committee, support a wolf population of 350 or less. Now, I watched the wolf committee, the Wisconsin Conservation Congress wolf committee meeting. Was only a couple of weeks ago, and I watched that, and it is just all run by anti-wolf things. And that's why a lot of your pro-wildlife resolutions won't necessarily make them out of committee, which is why if you submit them 3 years in a row, it doesn't matter. They'll go onto this statewide hearing. I know this is a lot of information and kind of confusing, but basically, I can almost guarantee you your resolution probably will pass in multiple counties, and then the committees are not, because we don't have good people in the Conservation Congress, which is why it's important to run for delegate, but probably won't make it out of committee. So here they again with this 350 or less. I'm so sick of it, but here it is again on the hearing question. So again, it's really important. Anyone across the United States can participate in voting on these questions online, just not submitting resolutions. So hunter safety, help disabled people fish, want and waste, land use, funding lower Chippewa River parcels. This was one that a bunch of people, including River Alliance, and I submitted as a person last year, was to make it so that people have to register their kayaks and canoes, but that they don't want to, they want it as no fee. Mine didn't make it. I wanted our fees to go into helping restore wetlands, but oh well. But there's a lot of things on here that for non-consumptive users. The next one here, pass the Recovering America's Wildlife Act. So if you can see kind of on question number 39, you see all of those numbers after that. Those are all the numbers of resolutions. So that passed in 1, 2, well, we can count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 18 counties. So clearly an organization got together, I know who it was, Wisconsin Wildlife Federation, to put this together. So it was submitted in multiple counties. So see, it didn't have to, and it that way it the large number. So if it passes in multiple counties, then it also has to go on here. We are actually going to, under protest, we are also going to actually agree and pass the Recovering America's Wildlife Act. We're not going to get into it today. So muzzle loaders, PCP air guns, you don't need that. Increased boating registration fees. So you can kind of go through here. Some of these that I'll be consulting with the people that belong in our group who are hunters, because I also understand that these can be confusing. I have, like, for example, I could probably just ask Pat or one of the other people. I have no idea what F shot for waterfowl hunting is, but I'll find out for you guys so you don't have to do all the research. I have no idea. I don't even want to know. But then there's some others that have come down that we made it through last year. So I don't want you to think that we don't make any progress. We did. So question 44, ban dogs from hunting wolves in Wisconsin. We got that through. And this I think is really good. I didn't think that we would, but we did. So you can see that it made it on the general statewide. This is what your resolutions do. These are resolutions we submitted kind of as different organizations and all of you, banning dogs from the wolf hunt. Okay, and so we made sure to add in if they get delisted again. Now they're protected, thank God, but we do want to make sure we continue to work on state policy while wolves are protected. The next one, 45, end all killing contests. I think we all can agree, even all hunters I know who find these killing contests to be outrageous. So we have made progress. I never ever thought we'd get killing contests across the statewide ballot, but we did. All right, and that's just kind of the presentation here. There are, again, I will give you the link. Otherwise, if you just go to the DNR or just type in Wisconsin Conservation Congress, it'll bring this up. The most important thing to do is if you're going to submit a resolution, you have a month to do it. And I actually have, because we are in advance time to help you. So I will send out actually on Monday, because I already worked on it before the meeting for once in my life, a collection of different resolutions that are samples that you can use. I would say if you are a Wisconsin resident, and you don't have anything particular you want to write about, to please submit 2 of our resolutions and I will get those out to you. So again, submitting a resolution, becoming a delegate, you have till March 11th. The others are 2 months away and we will help you on some of those questions. And just really quickly, I'm going to stop sharing this. I'm going to take a sip of water and I'm going to stop recording. Yes.